What if you have already died many times and you never noticed it? Right now, as you are listening to this, there are countless versions of you living different lives, breathing, thinking, choosing different paths. And in some of those lives, you are already gone. But here is the most disturbing truth: you will never experience your own death. Not once, not ever. Sounds impossible. But this idea doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from quantum physics, real science that challenges the way we understand reality. Sounds impossible. But this idea doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from quantum physics, real science that challenges the way we understand reality. In the quantum world, things don't behave like normal objects. They behave like possibilities. A particle does not choose one path. It explores all possible paths at the same time. A particle does not choose one path. It explores all possible paths at the same time. There is a famous experiment called the double-slit experiment. When scientists fire a single particle, it doesn't go through just one slit. It behaves as if it passes through both simultaneously. It exists in multiple states until it is observed. This strange behavior suggests something shocking. Reality itself may not be a single fixed line. It may be a branching structure where every possibility actually happens. Now imagine this: every decision you make, every risk you take, every moment where life could go one way or another. Instead of choosing one outcome, the universe splits. Instead of choosing one outcome, the universe splits. In one version you succeed, in another you fail. In one version you take the risk, in another you walk away. In one version you take the risk, in another you walk away. And in one version something goes terribly wrong. But your consciousness never experiences that version because it cannot. Now I want you to think about it carefully for a moment. If there are infinite versions of you, then there are also infinite versions where you survive. And if your awareness can only continue in versions where you are alive, then from your perspective, you never die, no matter what happens. And if your awareness can only continue in versions where you are alive, then from your perspective, you never die, no matter what happens. This idea is called quantum immortality. It comes from the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, a theory that suggests every possible outcome actually exists in its own separate reality. That means every near accident, every moment where you could have died, every dangerous situation. Somewhere in another version of reality, you didn't make it. But you are not there, you are here, because your awareness continued only in the branch where you survived. Now, I want you to think about the implications of what this means for your life. Every time you avoided an accident, every time something almost went wrong, every time you thought that was close, what if in another reality it wasn't close? What if it actually happened? And the only reason you are here right now is because your consciousness shifted to a version where you survived. This doesn't mean you are invincible. It means your experience is biased. And the only reason you are here right now is because your consciousness shifted to a version where you survived. And that creates a terrifying illusion that you always survive. Imagine standing at the edge of a dangerous situation. From the outside perspective, there are outcomes where you die, but from your perspective, there is only one outcome: survival, because there is no version of you that can observe being dead. So your story never ends. It just keeps continuing in the versions where you make it. But here is where it gets darker. So your story never ends. It just keeps continuing in the versions where you make it. It never stops. Would your life slowly become more painful, more damaged, more broken? Because the only requirement is survival, not quality. Because the only requirement is survival, not quality, still trapped in existence. You could end up in a version where everything goes wrong, where your body weakens, your world collapses. But you are still alive, still aware, still trapped in existence, and it never stops. This is the real horror of quantum immortality. Not that you can't die, but that you might never escape. Think about aging. Think about disease. Think about suffering. In a normal understanding, death is an end, a release. But in this theory, there is no final ending, only continuation. Your awareness keeps finding a path forward, no matter how unlikely. Even if the probability becomes almost zero, it never becomes exactly zero. And that is enough, because you only need one path, one version, one timeline to continue. Now ask yourself something. Have you ever had a moment where you felt like you should not have survived? An accident that almost happened, a situation that could have ended everything. And yet somehow you are still here, still listening, still alive. Even if the probability becomes almost zero, it never becomes exactly zero. And that is enough, because you only need one path, one version, one timeline to continue. This is not about proving the theory is true. It is about understanding what it implies. If reality really branches, if every possibility exists, then your story does not end. It just keeps moving from one survival to the next forever. And the scariest part? You will never know how many times you have already died, because the version that did is not you anymore. You are always the one who survived, and you always will be, no matter what happens next. Your experience continues, your awareness moves forward, and your story never reaches the end. This is quantum immortality. And once you understand it, you can never look at life the same way again. If what you just heard is true, then something even more unsettling follows. Your existence is not a straight line. It is a filter, a selection process where only survival reaches you. Everything else gets erased from your awareness, not because it didn't happen, but because you are not there to witness it. Think about probability. In normal life, we believe rare events almost never happen, but almost never is not zero. And in an infinite system, even the most impossible outcomes occur somewhere. Now combine that with your awareness. You don't need every version to survive. You only need one. One single path out of infinite possibilities. And that becomes your reality. This means your experience is not showing you the full truth. It is showing you a biased version of reality. Imagine flipping a coin again and again millions of times. Eventually there will be a sequence where it lands heads every single time. Extremely unlikely, but not impossible. Now, imagine your life works like that. Out of infinite timelines, you are the one where the coin keeps landing in your favor. Not because you are lucky, but because every other version is invisible to you. This creates an illusion that things are normal, that outcomes follow reasonable patterns. But in reality, you are sitting inside an extremely rare thread that keeps extending no matter how improbable it becomes. Now take this further. What happens when survival itself becomes difficult? When age increases, when the body starts failing, when the probability of staying alive drops closer and closer to zero? In a normal understanding, this is where life ends. But in this framework, ending is not an option, because your awareness cannot attach itself to non-existence. From the outside, people would say this defies logic, but from your perspective, it feels continuous, natural. From the outside, people would say this defies logic, but from your perspective, it feels continuous, natural, as if life is simply moving forward. This leads to a disturbing question. Does your reality become less stable over time? Because to keep you alive, the universe must keep selecting rarer and rarer outcomes. Events that don't normally happen, situations that feel strange, almost unreal. Small glitches in how life unfolds, moments that seem too coincidental, necessary adjustments to keep your timeline alive. Now think about identity. If your awareness keeps shifting across branches, are you still the same person? Or are you becoming a chain of slightly different versions, each one continuing from where the last survived? Your memories feel continuous. Your sense of self feels stable, but underneath you might be moving through countless variations, tiny differences stacking over time until the person you are is not exactly the one who started, but a version that survived again and again. This also changes how we understand fear. Fear of death is one of the strongest human instincts. But if you cannot experience death, then what exactly are you afraid of? Maybe not death itself, but the process leading to it. Pain, loss, uncertainty. Because while your awareness avoids the final endpoint, it does not avoid the journey, and that journey could become more intense, more stretched, more unpredictable over time. Now consider another angle. What if consciousness is not fixed to the body, but attached to the process of observation? Meaning wherever observation continues, that is where you exist. This would explain why your awareness always finds a path forward. It is not tied to a single physical outcome. It follows continuity. Wherever that continuity exists, you go with it. This idea connects deeply with quantum observation. In physics, a system exists in multiple states until it is observed. Observation collapses possibilities into one outcome. But what if your consciousness is part of that selection? What if it always collapses reality into a version where it can still observe, meaning a version where you are alive? This turns your existence into something far more active, not just a passive experience, but a continuous selection of survivable realities. Now think about how this affects meaning. If your life cannot end from your own perspective, then what gives it value? Is it the rarity of survival or the quality of experience? Because survival alone does not guarantee a meaningful life. It only guarantees continuation, and continuation without direction can become something very different from living. This is where the theory stops being just physics and becomes something deeper, almost philosophical, almost existential. It forces you to question, what does it really mean to be alive? If ending is not something you can ever witness, does life become infinite from your perspective, or does it become fragmented? A chain of moments stitched together by survival. Now step back for a moment. Look at your life so far. All the close calls, all the unexpected turns, still here. Maybe that is not surprising anymore. Maybe that is exactly what this theory predicts, that no matter how complex life becomes, no matter how unlikely survival gets, your awareness continues to find a way. But there is one final thought, and this is where it becomes truly unsettling. If your experience is limited only to survival, then you will never know how close you are to the edge. You will never see the versions where everything ended. You will only ever see the version where it didn't. Which means your reality is always incomplete, always filtered, always hiding the true scale of possibilities. And that means right now, as you are listening to this, you might not be living in a normal timeline. You might be living in the one that kept going, against all odds, again and again and again. And you will keep moving forward, not because nothing can stop you, but because you can only experience the paths where nothing did. This is the paradox. You are not immortal in the traditional sense, but from your own perspective, your story never reaches its final page. It just keeps turning into the next moment and the next and the next without ever showing you what happens when it ends.